Hey, what's going on, RC drivers? Welcome back to the workshop. We are moving on to phase 2 of our Traxxas Maxx project now. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, we did a whole phase 1 series where we hopped up a lot of this truck already. It's got a ton of Traxxas parts on there. If you hadn't seen that series yet, I'm going to put a link to the playlist at the end of this video, so make sure you check it out later. But we are moving on to phase 2, and that's some of the other parts that we didn't install on, such as the wide max kit. I have an optional servo that could go in there, and I've got the sledgehammer tires that are gonna go on it. So I'm actually gonna split phase 2 up into 3 videos because it's still snowing outside. So I wanna, kind of stretch this thing out, and hopefully by the 3rd week, I'll be able to drive this thing when it's all done and show you how much fun it is with these new parts on here. So just a quick recap. The reason why I'm putting these parts on is simply to show you what is available for the Traxxas Maxx. I do not want you to go out and buy everything that you've seen in this series. I know a lot of people are confused about that, but that is not the point. It's simply to show you what's available, how it goes on, my thoughts, and you get to decide what is best for your particular Traxxas Maxx. So really quick, today what we're going to do is we're going to install this optional servo set. This is the 2085X Servo, and it's got metal gears, it's high torque, so it's a little bit stronger than the servo that came in this truck. Right now, it's got the phase 1 servo in there, which is the Traxxas 400 servo, which worked out really well. But we're putting on the wide max kit, and this should hopefully keep the wheels turned where I want them as we're driving along. And then I also have the steel servo horn for it. You don't want to use that stock one. If I remember correctly, it was plastic. I even have a plastic one on here right now that's held up. But this steel one, you don't have to worry about the spline stripping out on it. And then really quickly, video number 2 is going to be the wide max arm set. I also have the tie rods and the universal axles for it, so that'll be a fun install. And then when we get to video number 3, I'll just install the sledgehammer tires and we'll take it out for a rip. So let me go set this thing up, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to install this servo. So if you're just starting off and looking to upgrade your servo, you might want to check this one out. All right, I've got the workbench cleared up and organized. I've got all my parts laid out here, and I'm ready to start working on the steering. Got to use my Traxxas tool set, but first up, I wanted to tell you about the servo we're going to drop in here. So it's the 2085X. And this is an upgrade for the Max. So the 2085, the regular servo, from what I gather, has like 365 inches of torque, and then this one has 23% more torque. So you guys can figure it out because I am not good at math. So we're gonna put this in. It is going to provide more torque for our Max project, and as I mentioned, we're gonna put some steering components on there as well, the servo horn. But I did want to mention that the steering servo does come with a new steering link and actually a spring. So I believe this spring is for the X-Maxx. We're not going to use it here, but we will use this steering link. So first up, I'm going to go ahead and take off the top brace. It's just a number of 2.5mm screws. Got to use my hex driver for that. And then I'm also going to take off the receiver cover because we have to access the servo wire. So I'll take care of that, and I'll show you the next step in just a minute. So I've got all the screws out of the top plate, I've got the screws out of the radial box. Now I can move on to taking out my servo. Now I do have an aftermarket servo in here, but it's pretty much the same steps. Just have to remove the 2 screws that hold the bracket in place, then move on to the steering crank where the linkage goes in. There's just 1 screw that holds the linkage in place. Just remove that, you'll be able to pull your servo out, unplug it from the channel 1 slot in your receiver, and then we can move on to putting in the new servo. I've got the servo out of the truck, and I'm actually gonna go put this into another project vehicle I'm working on, but we're pretty much ready to go and install the new servo now. Before you go and start just bolting things on, take the time to make sure that the servo is centered. So what you're gonna do first is plug in your signal wire into the channel 1 slot on your receiver. You're gonna power up your radio system, plug in your battery pack, turn everything on, make sure the trim dial is set to center, and then you'll be able to shut everything back off and go on to reinstalling the servo. So after I've centered everything out, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slide on my servo horn, and then I'm gonna transfer my hardware over from this servo. I'm gonna take the screw out from the spline, I'll install it into the new servo. I'll take the screw out from the steering link and install it into the new servo horn, as well as installing the new servo link that we got in the kit. And I'll go drop this thing back in. This is gonna be pretty easy. The servo's all set up, ready to slide back into the chassis, and it's pretty much just a reverse process of how you took the servo out. So I'm gonna drop this thing back in, and of course, when you get it all back together, get it back on the road, you're going to need to do your final trim adjustment, make sure the truck drives straight, adjust your steering trim for that. You guys know that already, but let me get this back in, show you how it looks when it's all installed. There it is, the new monster size servo bolted up into the truck. I think it looks really good in there, and I know it's got plenty of torque to steer these wheels. Can't wait to try it out. Now, next week we are going to work on the WideMax kit. I can't wait to install this, see how the stance is with it. I know it's gonna handle really well as well. There's a lot of people that say you gotta get the WideMax kit for it. I gotta say, I do like the way this drives being a racer. I think, you know, just the edginess of this truck when you're going full throttle with it is just really cool, but I can't wait to try that out. And of course, I'm gonna show you step by step how to install it. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell so you don't miss that video. Throw this video a like. If you have any questions or comments, throw it in the section below. We'll see you back soon for some more RC Driver videos.